Here inside of Studio 9 with Commissioner Tom Gentile today. And Tom, I guess the first question that we have for you is what you have to offer the citizens of Jefferson County if you're to be elected for another term.
Well, beyond the experience factor, we have a great kind of a system, an informal going at the Commissioner's office where we all three have very different strengths. Commissioner Maple has his strengths, Commissioner Graham has his strengths, and I have mine. And mine, quite honestly, are almost 40 years experience in the energy business. And now it's a pivotal time for the county. Because of dealings that I still have, and it's all outside the county, I know pretty much what to expect. I know oil and gas leases inside out. I know RUMA, road use and maintenance agreements. So I bring a lot of that to bear. What I've learned in the private industry, I bring it to bear for the county. And then when it comes to the water and sewer department, I generally take the lead there. It doesn't mean I have a bigger vote than anyone, but I have a strong background in utilities, in road work, in construction, and that all comes to bear on projects that we're doing there at the water and sewer department, which is phenomenal. We've got received over $10 million in grants in the last 8 years. We've done I don't know how many projects. They're all done ahead of schedule, under budget. It's just been a phenomenal success, the way we've been able to expand. When we're done with the 2 projects we have on the books now, we will effectively have doubled the amount of sewer customers we have in the county. So, and that just provides infrastructure for development.
When you talk about the energy industry, one of the things that your opponent and some of the other folks in the county want to talk about is the fact that maybe the oil and gas industry has passed Jefferson County by, that it's affecting Belmont County and Carroll County and Harrison County, but we haven't seen that.
Yeah, I know.
Why is that?
I hear that. They love to stay in the coffee shops and blame us for that. Well, we're not to blame. The governor's not to blame. Even the president couldn't make a difference. The good Lord put the oil and gas where he did, and the wet gas is all west of us, north and west of us. So that takes in Carroll County, that takes in Harrison County. And the infrastructure that everybody sees is infrastructure to deal with the wet gas, and they built it right over top of the wet gas areas, and it's also where the pipelines are. We had not a single major pipeline running through Jefferson County that could have gotten out the gas when the wells were drilled. So every well that was drilled early on in Jefferson County was considered stranded resource. It was sitting there, but you couldn't get it out. Now pipelines have been put in. We're starting to get some real income from the pipeline. So it's nothing we did. It's just the way the geology was. It's the way it's been for millions and millions of years. And our day is coming because of what's happened in the oil and gas industry. The Saudis have really pushed the price of oil down, which has made the NGLs, the wet gas, less desirable. And dry gas is the thing everybody wants today. And Jefferson County is dry gas. That's why we have more rigs drilling in Jefferson County than any of our surrounding counties right now.
One thing that your opponent likes to point to is the unemployment rate, which is high, I guess, when you take into account other counties like Belmont County, like Harrison County, and other parts of Ohio. When you see the figure, what goes through your mind? What are your thoughts?
Well, I see the figure and I know what the figure is, but I also talk to employers all the time. We recently had an employer in the commissioners meeting. We got in a little informal dialogue, and one of the representatives from the trade unions was there, and he shared their concerns too, is that it's hard to hire people. You know, whether it's the trade unions looking for laborers or whether it's industry looking for people, there are not a lot of people out there. So I don't know whether a certain component of that unemployment is people that are actually unemployable, maybe not really trying to find a job, very likely can't pass a drug test. We hear a statistic pretty regularly that 70, 80% of the people that take drug tests can't pass drug tests for these jobs, and it's a real problem.
We take a look at economic development. One of the things people talk about is site-ready properties. And when you start to think about site-ready properties, we all think of the old steel mill properties, you know, whether that be a property in Yorkville, a property in Mingo Junction, Steubenville. How can you make sure or ensure that these sites are site-ready should somebody else want to come in and use the resources that are there, the railroad, the river? How do you do that?
Great question. Our Port Authority works with all these folks, but for years people have always said, you have the river, you have the river. No, we don't. The railroads and the steel mills had the river. We have the river flowing through the county, but we don't have access to the river. I do know, I just recently met through an intermediary that I dealt with in the coal business, the new manager for the intermodal facility that's being built on the old Strauss property where the Steubenville plant was. We had a great dialogue. I'm going to be hooking him up with the Jefferson County Port Authority. He's excited to start to work with the commissioners and the Port Authority. They're doing some really good stuff there. They're offloading sand. They're offloading material for the oil and gas industry. So that's what we do. We just work with the businesses that are there. We know the mill is possibly getting ready to start back. We've heard a lot of that. I've even talked to people that, quite a few people, that have actually been contacted, and they're talking about going to work there. So there's a lot of positive things happening.
Yeah, we talk about the heroin epidemic in the Ohio Valley, and it's not just a Jefferson County problem, to be clear. What role can the commissioners play in battling and combating that epidemic, and how do you see your role moving forward?
3 major steps. Number one, what we did already, we did everything we could in last year's budget cycle to try and find the money to reopen the misdemeanor section of the jail, which frees up more jail space. That was really significant. These criminals need to know that we have a place, and as Fred likes to say, we have a room in the inn for you. The second thing we did recently was we had the Jefferson County prosecutor work with the city of Steubenville. So myself, the city manager, and the prosecutor developed a scenario where we hire a full-time prosecutor on behalf of the city of Steubenville. And that prosecutor works with the Jefferson County prosecutor. And what that's done is it's shortened the length of time that offenders may spend in the Jefferson County jail, and it's expedited the process where we get them out to the state institutions and off of our dime. It costs about $70, $55 to $70 a day, depending on how you look at the numbers, to house someone in the Jefferson County jail. So if you take somebody that sat in that jail and waited for a trial in a long time, it's not uncommon that one individual costs us $10,000 to sit in that jail before we send him off and when everybody knows he's gone. And that system's worked tremendously well. And the third thing is just developing a better relationship with the city manager of Steubenville. Jim Avermatis and I have lunch at least, or breakfast, at least once a month. We meet for breakfast and talk about things. And it was one of these breakfasts where Jim posed the idea of the prosecutor. So it's that cooperation, and that's what's really going to make a difference.
Yeah. When people are finally facing that ballot and they're looking at the decision between Tom Gentile and Greg Metcalf, what in your mind is the biggest difference?
Experience. An experience I have dealing with all the various things the county deals with. Energy is one of them, the construction side, the water and sewer side, all good things, and my record. I mean, no one has ever seen in their lifetime a Jefferson County government work as much like a business as it's working today. We totally leave politics at the door. For the reporters, as you have in the past, and others that sit there, they never see a dialogue go down political lines in our office. We almost always find a way to come to a consensus, and we run the county like a business, and it's been doing that for 8 years. It's worked extremely well.
All right. Commissioner Gentile, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.